focused, and I'm going to focus on the creation of content, the performance of content. And in particular, what we're going to look at today is what can go horribly wrong with your content should you turn your back for just a moment. Now, just to get a couple of things out of the way first, am I too in the way of this? Can you all see it? Just having a move. Nearly 40% of global marketing budgets are spent on content, and that's a huge amount of money, an enormous amount of money. So given that, I sometimes wonder why, once we spend minutes and hours and days creating content in all its wonderful forms, we're happy just to shove it up there and then walk away from it. Job done. Give it the next bit of content. What can I work on now? You know, at best we might check the visibility, check the performance. We may want to go to the SERPs and look at the snippet. Is it perfectly formed? We may also, if we're really diligent, want to come back in a few weeks' time and make sure it's still visible. But sometimes we don't do that. So what I'm effectively saying is we're wonderful at creating brilliant content, but we need to be better curators. We need to look after it, we need to check in on it, and we need to make sure it's doing what it's supposed to be doing and bringing that traffic to our website. So, as I said at the start, this is going to be a story about what can happen when you turn your back. And this story begins in Rwanda. Okay? Rwanda's in the central eastern Africa, just west of the Congo. And Rwanda's famous for something amazing. Mountain gorillas, huge, wonderful mountain gorillas, okay, weighing 200 kilos at most. Now, if you wanted to go and see these mountain gorillas, the best place in the world is to go here, to Mountain Gorilla's Nest. It really is the opportunity of a lifetime. Now, the page that you're looking at here was created by a company called Journeys by Design. These guys do something special when they make their content. Number one, they go out there. They go to Rwanda. They collect information. They take pictures. They talk to people. You see what they're doing? They're bringing back a really unique experience. Okay? They put that on their website. I'd go so far as to say that Journeys by Design satisfy Google's four. It's really good. It's so close to the audience. Different to us. Yeah. So close. So they satisfy Google's four key tenets of trust, authority, relevance, and quality. So how do you think they perform for the search term that is unique to them, that they have crafted as Mountain Gorillas? How do you think they do? Pretty good? Here's your answer. It's a disaster. Okay, this chart, the left-hand axis, the y-axis, that's positions 1 to 100 for this search term. And there are two things wrong with this 8-month period of time. Two things wrong. The first thing, the most obvious thing, is there are 3 dips in visibility. 3 areas during which nobody can see their content. And the second thing that's wrong is that glass ceiling that you so often see when this sort of thing happens. So what is this sort of thing? Now, we've already ruled out cannibalization, that Chris is going to talk about later. Internal flux, semantic flux, subdomain conflict, okay? All of that, that's not happening here. So how do you find out what causes this? Well, it may come as no surprise. The best way to find out is to explore the SERPs. And for those of you who know me, probably know I love nothing more than exploring the SERPs late into the night. Really trying to see what's going on. And my son Charlie, he'll often walk past when I'm on my laptop. He's 12, and he said, "What are you doing, Dad?" "Exploring the SERPs with a buddy." He just nods. And he carries on. And I'm waiting for the day when I see him on his laptop later and I say, "What are you doing, buddy?" "I'm exploring the SERPs, Dad." "Yes, you are." I'm going to edit that out. Because he will kill me. Okay, so what are we looking at here? We've got a table on the left with positions, in this case 1 to 22. And that's important. 22 is important. Okay? But not as important as 20. Because as you can see, on the 7th of February, at the time of the third drop, this site was in position 20. So what am I looking for? Remember, I've ruled out cannibalization. I'll tell you what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for the site that's moved up the most in this column. This shows jumps or movements over the past 30 days. And here we have at the top, I think that's TripAdvisor. They've gone up 90 positions. I don't care about that. I don't care about these guys who've moved up 88 positions. You know what I care about? I care about the site that's moved up here over 57 positions to position 20 to my position, for Journeys by Design, for this wonderful, unique page. So what's going on? Look at that dip there. Friday the 7th February. Let's take a look at their visibility. That's a bit suspicious, isn't it? Okay, no connection whatsoever. And these other dips and fluxes, they're also important, and you'll see why soon. It's part of the bigger picture. Okay, so what's going on? Let's take a look at their content. There's ours, at the top, situated just 2 kilometers west of the Virunga Mountains. Park National Volcano, etc. That's theirs. You know what? These guys haven't been to Rwanda. They haven't been anywhere except to Google to look for this site and steal their content, word for word, sentence for sentence, paragraph for paragraph. Okay, so they've taken some content and they've taken our position. Let's take a look at the first drop. Actually, no, before we do that, the second drop. And we do the same thing into the SERPs. And it's always exciting exploring the SERPs. Anybody else get that same excitement? I know you all do. You wouldn't be in here. Now, this time, 19th of February, in position 19. So let's look at position 19. Hang on a minute. Self-drive Rwanda. Who are these guys? They've moved up from nowhere. At least 82 positions, up to 19. Okay? Let's have a look at their visibility. There's that big drop. There's their big spike on the same day. But also note, that one over there, and that happening over there. That bit in the middle is clearly interfered with our site. Okay, there's their content, situated just 2 kilometers west of the Park National Volcano, foothills of the Virunga Mountains. Okay, that's where you're going to go on holiday next year. Wonderful. Now, these guys are clever. They haven't taken all the content. They've taken the first sentence only, and mixed the rest of it up, thrown some of their own in. But you know what? Even that first sentence is enough. They've taken the link out to that first sentence is enough to cause that loss of visibility. What about first drop? Good question. Good question. First drop's really weird. And there's more than one drop. Remember all those peaks and troughs and fluxes in position? When we lay them on top of each other, there's a bunch of sites out there. They're all stealing our content, or are they now stealing each other's content? But what have we got here? We've got a great created by, I don't know what you call it, a web of theft. You know, I don't know what else we can call it. And these sites, one in, one out, one in, one out, another one in, and another one out. The thing to note here is that even flux at low levels can cause problems with visibility at much higher levels. And we've done research to show that actually, you know, this sort of flux down below position 200 can actually impact you. But once it gets into the hundreds or 100 and above, then you need to watch out. So, this is the problem. There's so much of this going on, and it's causing so many problems that at one stage, a few weeks back, my deck was about 200 slides long. Actually more, but don't worry, it's not 200. Now, I had to cut it all out. We've seen examples of people stealing images of well-renowned sites and putting them on blogs in different countries, and that actually impacts your position as well. So we thought, time for a test. And for the purpose of this test alone, I've had to turn into a bit of a thief, and as you can see in the back, it's a content thief. And what I'm about to say is actually true. I was giving a presentation about 2 weeks ago. I put my phone on the desk in front of you, and Twitter flashed up, and it's a message from Kelvin. They said, Jon Earnshaw is a thief. And I didn't put 2 and 2 together. And I got sweat. I immediately got sweat. So I thought, well, what's going on? But I had to turn into a thief. So we approached 2 big, reputable companies, sources of authority, great content. The first one is Econsultancy. What we're going to look at is one piece of content and how performance varies for 3 search terms. And here's the content. It's a Q&A with Jared Field on PPC strategy. That's theirs. And we stole that and put that on the intelligent positioning website. We don't know who did it, that's Holly, she's standing at the back. Okay, so word for word. We haven't changed anything else. So what do you think happens when we just took that content from a more authoritative site, from a site with better social interaction, if you like, from a site that's been around longer? This is what happens. Econsultancy is in pink, and intelligent positioning with the stolen content is in yellow. Now we stole the content around here, around the middle, just before you see those larger drops there that are so reminiscent of Cassiopeia, the constellation. That's probably just I always honest. Everybody says, John, when you don't talk about physics, don't talk about constellations, just stick to the point. So, no more than that. Anyway, so it started happening here, and then IP spikes in to position 24, the same position that we were. You see a pattern here. We move in, we take their position, we knock them out. Switches, backwards and forwards, for the search term, PPC strategy. It's a short tail search term, an important search term. And then what happens? IP goes on with the stolen content to win the day. But we've got a glass ceiling. We'll always have that glass ceiling. Let's look at it. Okay, the content, just to prove it, almost identical. On-page score, virtually the same. Econsultancy had a few more words and probably some comments on it. So that dilutes it slightly. Socially, Econsultancy much more powerful. And from an authority perspective, again, Econsultancy all the way. Let's change the search term. Let's use a long tail search term. Okay. Q&A, Jared Field on PPC strategy. IP spikes in with stolen content to position 10. Doesn't take their position, so spikes back out. Then comes along, and bearing in mind this is a paid title, and that made a difference. We spiked in, took them out for one day, and then came back down. Okay, that long tail did work, and it was a title as well. Content, again, almost identical. Social stuff is the same. So here's a third search term. Okay, how scalable is PPC? A big term, a good question. So, Econsultancy in at 10. We steal the content. We come in at 10. Okay? Actually, we come in at 7 because they moved up to 7. Again, we take their place. We drop out, they go up in pink, and then we trade places. There's the glass ceiling. The IP website with stolen content actually goes on to get a better position. Probably at about 3 now. Okay. Those were the swaps. Econsultancy, 7 on the 20th of July. Intelligent positioning, position 7. Content, the same. Socially, so much stronger. Econsultancy. So this isn't about social shares. This isn't about links. And I know tests have been done before where people have driven links to the site. These sites haven't done any of that. So, what should Econsultancy have done? Number one, they should have known about this. They should have been alerted to this initial flux in position. Any suspicious flux you need to watch out for. Get into the SERPs, roll up your sleeves and have a look and see what's going on there. And remember, a lot of this happens way down, positions 50, 60, 70, 80. Identify the offending URL and take appropriate action. And that could be as simple as a cease and desist notice. That's probably going to kill it straight away. Or you could try one of these first, which is a Google scraper report. Although I suggest you probably have to do a few dozen of those, get everybody to be like slow, this sort of thing. Second test. This is the best one. This will be really exciting. Every chart in this test has spent at least an hour on my fridge before being torn down by my son, who thinks it's not fair that I can put my brilliant charts up on the fridge, but he's not allowed to put his stickers on there. So, my wife doesn't want any of it up there. But anyway, test 2. Similar test. One piece of content, one search term, with a difference. Excited? There it is. Click Z. There's no bigger authority out there, is there? Okay. Now this is an article about online form optimization, and the search term that I'm going to refer to here is online web form optimization. Okay. This one was written by a guy called Brighton Eisenberg. physicists in the audience? Mind of Heisenberg? Heisenberg. So remember that, because that's important. Here's the stolen copy. So, steal it. So what's going to happen to ClickZ? For the term, the page is spinning around. Any guesses? There you go. It looks like nothing, but look really, really closely. Do you think you can work out what's happening here? You've got about 4 slides to tweak with the answer, and I'll buy you drinks later. So, and I think I've said once before, never be fooled by a straight line. Never be fooled by a straight line. Okay? And this one's not even perfectly straight, it's got a kink in it, so it makes it even more suspicious. So that's ClickZ. We stole their content, an article written by Brian Eisenberg. Web form optimization. Let's take a look at the intelligent positioning. Performance. We've stolen content. Okay. Now, I'm starting to get suspicious. Okay? So we had 2 URLs. One was the main site, and then that's the article. And suddenly, suddenly, we're losing visibility. Out, in, out, in. So what's going on here? Because clearly we are interacting with something. But what is it? And is it ClickZ? Yep, there's something else going on. Who's this? Let me just pull this up. This is Brian Eisenberg. Brian Eisenberg, it turns out, has got the content on his blog as well. So Brian's got it. He gave it to ClickZ. They probably don't know he's got it. And then comes intelligent positioning with a stolen copy. So let's lay one of these on top of the other. And I thought this bit was brilliant. This job, you know, who wouldn't want that on their fridge? There's Brian, top of the SERPs. And I said, look really closely. Look really closely, because ClickZ, if you roll it back a week, they were in position 1. IP, with the stolen content, actually bumped them into position 2. But their authority has kept them a little higher. And all the time, we're interacting and interfering. Makes me do electrons. We're interfering with Brian's site. And then we go on to get the best positions in green and get the click-throughs. And here's the data. So when we take that search term, online web form optimization, they're all as badly optimized as each other. Nothing else has been done. Socially, Brian's page was the strongest, but that did him no good whatsoever. Okay? From a social perspective, IP was the worst. Google doesn't care, because it can't work out. So 2 minutes left, I need to speed up. Google doesn't care. And then from a backlink profile, okay, it's certainly ClickZ is the strongest. So, content thieves can win. We're going to go like a gallop through the final slides. And these ones are important because I think this is how it can impact on all you guys in the audience. So the takeout here really is, if you're using channels or resellers, and they're using the same content that you've got, you need to watch out. Let's look at Ralph Lauren. Okay? Ralph Lauren's got loads of resellers, all doing their own thing. First one, cruise fashion. Okay? The search term, polo, Ralph Lauren, knitted jumper. Anyone wearing one of these today? They're on sale. They're on sale. So what's going on here? Okay, dropping out. You wouldn't sleep at night if that's your performance, would you? No chance. No chance. And there it is, proving to be a must-have wardrobe staple. This one's in navy, and it's on for 70 quid. Here's another site, okay? This is flannels. Again, they're trying to sell the same item. What do we see here? Canonicalization issue? Yeah? We don't want to see that, do we? Okay, but that aside, here's their content. And this one, look at the colour, you can't see that, but trust me, it's wine. And I thought, how brilliant. I went out for lunch and you ticked it down, you just carry on. That's going to know. I'm getting one of those. Proves to be a must-have wardrobe staple. And here's the final one, Van Mildert. Spikes in, can't do any better than that, throwing money at optimization of their content or whatever they're doing. Here we go, here's the final one. Okay. Proven to be a must-have wardrobe staple. 10 seconds. Lay one on top of the other, okay? And one cannot occupy, like an electron, one cannot occupy the same space as another. So each one is pushing the other one out. And this is just one example of hundreds of examples just like this. Content, they're all rubbish. Socially, they're all rubbish. Okay? Thinking, they're all rubbish. So, summary, we're there. Don't turn your back on your content. Dedicate time, make it unique. You can see the problems this causes. You've got to rule out cannibalization first, so you need to listen to Chris, okay, to work out how to do that. Delve into the SERPs. Don't you love the SERPs? Okay? Has somebody taken your place? Look at your place. Where were you? You were 30, they're 30. Look at their content. Monitor your resellers and your channels. Thank you.